Heads up, this episode contains spoilers for Final Fantasy XV, Kingsglaive. Hello and welcome to episode 23 of PauseCast. It is Wednesday, December 14th, 2016. I am Jessica Alouette, and I use she, her pronouns.
And I'm Matt Kenner, I use he, him. Welcome.
I don't have an opening bit this time, I don't think. I think I just want to get into it.
Yeah, let's go.
You ready?
I'm ready.
I hear you have exciting things to tell me about, so Mark, what have you been playing this week?
A couple of things over the past couple of weeks as well. I've been playing Pokemon Moon, and I've been playing Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, that game that, took more than a decade to develop.
Was it more than a decade?
Here. Yeah, it was slightly more than a decade.
Yeah, it's quite something, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I've been playing a bit of that. I don't know how far into it I am. I don't remember the hours I spent on each. I've spent more on Pokemon than 15, though.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Which one should I go with first? Do you have a preference?
I don't have any preference. Why don't you tell me about Pokemon first?
Okay, Pokemon. So I've played a lot of the Pokemon generations. I played Red when I was a kid, and then I played Silver also when I was a kid, and I skipped the next one. I've played the Pearl and Platinum, and I've got Soul Silver, and I missed the third generation, but I played through the remake of the third generation. I missed the Black and White, but I played the X and Y generation. So I've played most Pokemon generations, I think. Mm-hmm. So it's quite familiar coming back to it, and it feels really nice. So this is, I think, the second generation where they've had full 3D stuff. Although I really do like the old 2D sprites, they've done a really nice job of cell shading the 3D stuff. It looks really cool.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I like the character customization that's come along with the more 3D games as well. That's really nice. And particularly the ability to interact directly with Pokemon outside of battles that you couldn't really do with a sprite, but you can with 3D. That, I think, has really changed the game for me. So that's not new in this one, but it's still in this one. And I think it's a really important part where, particularly after battles, but not necessarily just then, you can go and use tools to make your Pokemon better if they're poisoned or they've got tufts in their hair or whatever, and you can just pat them and feed them and make them like you. That is really nice to have that alongside the battling stuff, so it's not just, hey, go fight this monster. That's really nice.
Hey, fight forever.
Yeah. There's a bunch of cool stuff. I like a lot of the new designs. I am never evolving my Torracat to the third version though, because that weird cat wrestler thing is not for me, but the other cats are. So I've given it an Everstone, so I don't have to bother pressing B every time it levels up. But as much as I really, really like Pokemon, it's kind of also brought back a few things that bother me, because there's a bunch of hidden stuff in Pokemon that I've never really liked, and in particular now they've re-hidden something. So since the first generation, there have been these hidden values called effort values, which get abbreviated to EVs. Basically, depending on what you fought, you would get more or fewer EVs. And I'm not talking about the Pokemon EV, of course. But then when you level up, depending on how many you've got, it changes how your stats increase. So if you fight a whole bunch of shitty Pokemon, you will end up with a less powerful Pokemon than if you fight the right Pokemon. That's my understanding of it, at least. And it's been hidden for ages. But then, what game was it? One of the recent games, but not Sun and Moon, had a bunch of mini-games which expose that information and also let you explicitly increase those values by playing mini-games, which was really nice. It took some of the stress out of it for me, because I didn't feel like, oh, what if I'm fucking up a bit by not just grinding right, which is never a nice feeling. But now that's hidden again, so I'm a bit disappointed about that, I guess, because hidden values are always kind of a problem when it's not something that you can then easily know what you're supposed to be doing, or you don't know about a feature. It's kind of like in Was it Dark Souls 3 that's had that poise thing that no one knew what it was supposed to do? They knew what it did in previous games, but not the new one.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, if you've got this number and you don't know what it does, or there's some feature you just don't know about, you can't take advantage of it. It's really a shame. And I feel like they're also doing that a bit with some of the evolutions. I really like how not all evolutions are just get to this level. But I wish you didn't have to look them all up. Because there aren't
they're
enough in-game
extremely
hints.
esoteric.
There just aren't enough in-game hints. Like in the first generation, there were 3 ways to evolve Pokemon. Leveling up, using an item like a Thunderstone, and there were these explicit sets of items that you could use to evolve Pokemon, and you'd see like it's able to be used on this one, this one, this one. That's fine. Mm-hmm. Or trading Pokemon. And there were a bunch of in-game hints that, oh, my Pokemon evolved when I traded it. Now there's a ludicrous number of Pokemon, although at least they're not all available to catch in the wild in this game. And a lot of them have got really unusual methods of evolving, like it has to be really happy and then nighttime when it levels up. Or you have to level it up in this specific place, or you have to level it up with another Pokemon in your party that is of dark type. Mm-hmm. Or you have to turn your 3DS upside down during battle. Some of them are really strange, and a lot of them don't have in-game hints. So you wouldn't know. And I find that's kind of frustrating. Like, on the one hand, figuring this stuff out must be pretty satisfying, but that's such a small subset of players. I'm sure that almost everyone else is going to be having to look this stuff up to figure out how to do it. And I don't know, I like when you don't have to go outside of a game to know how to play the game, if you know what I mean. So with the upside down one, I haven't got to, but I've heard about it. It hopefully has a good hint. But my flatmate just yesterday was talking about, oh, I've been leveling this Pokemon up higher and higher to try to get it evolved, and now I look it up like 11 levels later than I needed to, and find out I need another dark Pokemon in my party. And he just didn't know. And it might have been that, 3 generations of games ago, there was an in-game hint about how to evolve this Pokemon, but there isn't one that he's seen in this one. So he just had no idea. And that one would be pretty hard to figure out. And there's another one in second generation, I think, where a Pokemon would evolve differently depending on whether its attack was higher than its defense, lower than its defense, or equal to its defense. Which is cool. And I think there were in-game hints about it, but if you don't know, that's a really hard thing to figure out. So you got to go and look it up. So, yeah, hidden features can be kind of frustrating. What I wish they did, because they have a Pokedex in there which gives you information about the Pokemon that you've caught. I wish it just had a little bit where it would have some little prose hint about how it evolves, so you'd have a clue to go on. That would be really cool. Because it already tells you like how many times it can evolve, or rather how many evolutions in the set, because it's grouped the Pokedex into pages based on that, which is really nice. But yeah, I really wish there were evolution hints. I didn't have to Google shit all the time.
On the note of Dark Souls 3's poise system...
yeah, I heard they were changing it or something a while ago. I hadn't really followed it too closely.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Patrick Klepek over at Waypoint, which is a new site from Vice, wrote a huge article a couple weeks back about like the player base trying to like do deep dives into the code of Dark Souls 3 and like figure out how the fuck poise works in Dark Souls 3, because it works radically different from everything else. Because
previous games, it was basically if it's a higher number, you're less likely to get staggered when you're attacked, right?
Yeah, that's the gist.
Yeah.
Basically, if you had a high enough poise, you could not be interrupted.
Right, yeah. But that's not how it works in 3?
No, it is not how it works in 3. There's like a whole... I think it was like 2,000 words that were written about how the fuck poise works.
So they did figure it out then?
They did figure it out, yeah, like through no like official means, but yeah, it's a cool read. I would definitely go recommend searching that out if you are interested in the Souls series. Yeah, I don't have a lot of patience for games being esoteric anymore. Is the thing. Like I used to be like, oh yeah, Dark Souls is like super super cool because it doesn't tell you a lot. Now I'm like, even though this was like a few months ago, now it's just like, well, you know, I just don't like this actually.
I think
Yeah, I'd rather kind of be told, oh, this is how this particular thing works.
there's good ways and bad ways to do it, right? If it's like a puzzle that you can solve, that's cool. If it's like this weird thing you have to guess at or whatever, that is much more of a pain. So like the
Yeah.
Dark Souls story stuff, which you can figure out, that's cool. A number that doesn't work the same number works in different games and no one knows how it works, that's just confusing and kind of frustrating.
And absurd.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's a couple of the gripes I've had with Pokemon games. But it's so much fun. I'm really enjoying it. I really like actually how they've changed the gym system. So there aren't gyms in this game. In previous games, basically, you'd go through and collect badges by beating gyms, where you'd go in and fight a bunch of trainers, and then one big boss trainer at the end who stood in that room 24/7 for you to fight. They don't do that anymore. Everyone feels much more part of the world and like their own character. So instead, the boss battles you have are with sort of, I guess, semi-wild Pokemon called Totem Pokemon. And they're really neat. They're just like little little boss battles. They have frustrated me a little bit in that you often fight highly evolved Pokemon at lower levels than it's possible to get them. So if I've got the pre-evolved version of that, I'll be like, oh, it must evolve by level 22, and then actually it evolves to level 33 when you look it up, but this one cheated. So that's been a little bit annoying, but that's not too bad. But yeah, I really like the way they've changed that system. The whole world feels a lot more cohesive now, I think. They've also done a few other things that help with that, like having ride Pokemon. So instead of teaching your Pokemon in your party specific moves for like going on water and flying to different towns and stuff, now you don't rely on Pokemon in your party. You just have like a pager that calls Pokemon trained explicitly for this that you can fly on or surf on or ride around on, which is actually quite cool. I really like how they've done that. Also means you don't need to have like one of your 6 Pokemon just being like a mule for a whole bunch of those skills. You've always got them with you.
Now, let's shift gears a little bit. Something that both you and I have been playing this past couple weeks has been, it's got a few names. You may know it as Boy Band Simulator, or Road Trip Simulator, or perhaps Final Fantasy Versus 13. I am, of course, talking about Final Fantasy 15.
If you know it by Final Fantasy Versus 13, welcome back.
Yeah, hey, welcome. Welcome back from the Rock, I guess. Maybe you are the Rock. Maybe you are the Rock. Maybe you're Dwayne the Rock Johnson. In which case, hello, thank you for listening to our show. Maybe you've been living like in the apartment just below the Rock, and that's all good. But maybe you haven't heard about what happened to Final Fantasy Versus 13, and it's that it became its own thing. So Final Fantasy 15 released. Also, The Last Guardian released, but I haven't had the chance. Yeah, that's out. I haven't had the chance to play it yet.
Get that at some point.
I like Team Ico's like style. I hear this is a very kind of old-fashioned game.
You still have Shadow of the Colossus to play as well, don't you?
Yep, I have Ico and Shadow of the Colossus to play.
You should play those over summer. I haven't played Ico, but Shadow of the Colossus is a brilliant game.
I'm more focused on like just fucking crushing The Witcher 3 over the Christmas holidays. I have 3 weeks. I'm just gonna fucking crush it. It's gonna be amazing. But we've been playing Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
And like, wow.
You're impressed?
I'm really impressed with it.
I'm less impressed than I hoped to be. Really. And I honestly hadn't expected it to be amazing. a bit sad, really. But anyway, I don't know. I find that I've really liked the way other Final Fantasy games have felt like they've got a pretty good sense of direction. And I don't just mean they're like linear maps or anything. I mean, like, I know I'm driven towards the goal and continuing the story. There is so much side quest stuff in Final Fantasy 15. I get lost in it. It's the same kind of problem I had with The Witcher 3, actually, where I feel like often like I don't know where I'm supposed to go next because maybe there's another level 12 quest over there, and if I level up too much, then it's stupid to do it anymore. But over here, there's a level 11 quest, and there's a 15. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I'm just wandering around a lot, picking up 50 million side quests. At least 15 manages that to keep that down a little better because a lot of the side quests are in a category where you can only have one at a time of them. You basically do it and come back. But yeah, the list of side quests I had quickly grew and grew and grew to be more than a page. Which, yeah, frustrates me a bit. It's good to have a lot of content, but I am feeling kind of lost in it. But the most annoying thing by far is that the interact button is also the jump button. Because the interaction prompt doesn't appear immediately when you go to talk to someone or activate a quest or go to a new area or something. So I often find that I'll go up to talk to someone and just end up jumping in their face for a few seconds.
I find that less annoying than the situation with the like having one type of quest that you can only do one of at a time. And I think it's because The Witcher 3 totally spoiled me on this, where I could pick up as many of these like hunt contracts as I wanted to. But now these like hunts in Final Fantasy 15 are just they're teeny tiny monster hunter quests. It's like go hunt like 10 jackies kind of situation.
Yeah, it's like here, quick, go do this, earn some money, and get your hunter rank up a bit. They actually call it hunter rank, don't they?
Yeah. They do.
The combat is actually really quite cool. I like the combat. I find it can get confusing when there's a lot of enemies, but overall, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's easier to manage once you get the hang of this system called point warping, which allows you. There's certain points in the game where you can just throw your sword at, and it will stick into this location, and you will hang off of it.
Yeah, which there's a lot of those.
It's really cool because it recovers all your magic points. It allows you to kind of regain some perspective on the battle, and then you can choose a target and warp back to them and do like a bit more damage. I think the most I've gotten is like 2.5 times. Yeah,
the further you are away, the higher multiplier it is, which is quite neat.
Yeah,
it's a fun way of doing the combat. I don't know of any other games that have done it quite like that. Actually, that reminds me as well, because that featured so heavily in the film. I feel like if I hadn't seen... What was it called? Kingsglaive. Kingsglaive. If I hadn't seen the movie Kingsglaive before playing the game, I'd be a lot more confused about the story.
Holy shit, yeah. Like, if you're planning on picking up Final Fantasy 15, there's an anime series called Brotherhood.
Is there? I don't know.
Yeah. It's like an 8-episode series, I think. Oh. It's like 2 hours.
Okay.
There's a full 3D animated movie, which is called Kingsglaive, and it stars Aaron Paul, inexplicably.
I don't know who that is.
And Sean Bean is there, too.
Was he?
Yeah, Sean Bean is the king.
Oh, of course. Well, okay, no, I won't say that on the microphone.
What do you mean?
Well, it's Sean Bean, so what does Sean Bean do in movies?
Oh, no. Does he die a lot in movies?
Does he ever not die?
I don't know.
On a screen? Because I don't think he ever not dies. I think he always dies. But seriously, every time. Name me one movie he's in, or TV show, where he doesn't die.
I don't know. I don't know.
I can name a bunch where he does. Like when he's in James Bond, when he's in Lord of the Rings, when he's in Kingsglaive. When he's in Game of Thrones, he dies pretty early on, although I haven't seen that far into it. Pretty much every time it shows him... I think he died in a Civilization trailer recently.
What?
Yeah.
This has got to be just like a running goof at this point.
Oh, no, it is. And, like, it just happens. Every movie he's in, he dies.
It's going to be an amazing combo breaker when Sean Bean gets into a movie where he doesn't die.
But then they'll just have like a post-credit scene where he dies.
Oh my god. It's a never-ending, like, maybe he's just being reincarnated into all these roles. He dies in one movie and goes on to the next. It's like the fucking... Fuck, I can't remember the name of it. It's the kid from, like, MASH or something in the end of it with the snow globe.
What?
I don't know. There's this weird thing where there's this theory of media, I guess, where at the end of one popular TV show, which crossed over with a bunch, it was revealed that the whole thing was a dream, and it ended with this kid ending into it, like looking into a snow globe.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then because it crossed over with all these shows, and those shows crossed over with more shows, it turns out that something like 90% of TV takes place in this exact same fictional universe, and it's all just a dream. Which is...
wrong, but...
I mean, like, it's totally wrong, but, like, it's fucking hilarious to think about. Also, I'm just gonna put a spoiler warning at the beginning of this, because this is, like, too valuable to not leave in the show at this point. We've talked about like 30 different things here. I have to leave it. Sure. I have to put like a spoiler thing at the beginning of the episode. Like, this episode contains like spoilers for Final Fantasy 15 Kingsglaive.
Well, to be fair, it's basically in a prologue for the game. If you play the beginning of the game, you'll see it happen pretty early on. Oh, you haven't got to that point yet.
Nope, but I like figured because
you've seen the movie.
Yeah, I've seen the movie.
Yeah.
Like,
But
I know what's up.
In my opinion, Kingsglaive is basically the opening cinematic for Final Fantasy 15, and that's how it's to be treated.
It sets up like all the context for the thing.
Yeah, I'd be lost because it has those bits where it'll show like a few second clip from the movie, and if I didn't have context, I'd just have been like, "What the fuck was that?" I have no idea, but like I've seen the movie.
So we have to talk about this as well. Final Fantasy 15 is so confusing that the story is getting patched.
That's way later on in the game. I don't know what's going to be going on at that point.
There might be some stuff that's getting patched in the early game as well. I'm not 100% on that, but I know that there's a few chapters which are getting like additional cinematics added because of like player feedback. Like, I reached this point and now I have no idea what's going on. Okay.
I think with the context of Kingsglaive, I understand what's going on in the game. Without it, I would be pretty confused, but I'd have the gist. Mm-hmm. What I have a bigger problem with the story at the moment is so far I don't really feel engaged with it. And that might just be me. I think part of it is definitely going to be the side quest bloat, but I think also part of it is I don't really feel that connected to the characters like I have in other Final Fantasy games, which is kind of a shame.
Yeah, it adds up.
Yeah, they feel kind of, I don't know, not quite in the world to me, if that makes sense. I don't know.
I mean, it makes sense because arguably these characters are really fucking detached from the world.
Yeah, okay, no, that's true. Because, I mean, what's one of those comments one of them makes really early on? What's a gill? When that's like the money in Final Fantasy.
They have no idea what's going on in the world outside of, like, their city. Yeah, which they have now, like, left for the first time.
As well as that, though, that's not all I mean. Because you're playing as Noctis. He's the main character. And he's had a few scenes where he gets a bit emotional. But I just feel constantly like I don't know what's going on in his head. And when stuff does come out, I'm like, oh, okay. That came out of nowhere. I mean, some of it makes sense, but then you think, well, why didn't that come up earlier? I don't know. I'm having trouble connecting with the characters. I'm trying to give this game its best shot. It's just that hasn't clicked for me yet. I'm not going to stop because of it. I do enjoy the combat, and I'm hoping that the story's going to get more interesting as I get further on. I know because you've told me in the past about how it gets more linear later on. I'm hoping that means that the side quest bloat will go away a bit. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually looking forward to that point.
Actually, no, you know what? I know more about this, but I won't talk about it for the sake of spoilers.
Yeah.
Though
Thanks
we
for that.
definitely we definitely did spoil like some of Kingsglaive.
Yes.
Some of the stuff near the end. But like we've both seen it, so we can talk about it and we can just tell everybody. This is the beauty of like post-processing.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't leave that.
Have you seen the new Star Wars movie? Because I won't spoil it for you if you haven't.
Rogue One?
No, the
The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've seen that.
Okay, because
Yeah, that's a thing that happens, huh?
yeah, please edit that out. I would hate to spoil that for someone.
Yeah, at this point, the warning is going to be a minute long. Spoilers for Kingsglaive Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 7.
Jesus dies
The Vibe.
once you get far enough.
Once you get into like the New Testament, which is where it starts getting like good and interesting.
I just got so pissed off. They killed him, so I just stopped reading. It's such a shitty ending.
They kill him 4 times across 4 different books. It's oh my god. Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, there's gonna be some of this that's. Oh my god, there's gonna be some of this I'm gonna cut, but some of it is too good. I can't leave some of this on the cutting room floor, Mark.
I'm so sorry.
I've got some of it is funny enough that I have to be like, yes, this stays. Sure. This is not about video games.
Should I add in some fake spoilers to balance it out?
Oh god, no. Okay, we need to get off the spoiler train. I'm gonna talk about Overwatch to get you to stop talking about spoilers.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I've been playing more Overwatch. Spoilers, it's still extremely good.
Mercy dies.
Yeah, Mercy dies, but then
the
she
only character whose name I
reses
know.
herself from beyond the grave.
I don't know any other character names. So
You just know that Mercy is there. I think that's even because I told you about like Witch Mercy a while back.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure
like
someone shoots her at some point, right? Like there's
Yeah,
no
like,
story.
definitely.
People just shoot her in the match.
there's like a lot
Yeah.
of shooting of Mercy.
Sorry for the spoiler.
Yeah, it's fine. So I've been playing a bunch more Overwatch over the past couple of weeks, and today actually they just started their Christmas event, which has brought a whole wealth of like new holiday themed skins, like they did with Witch Mercy and Halloween. Which I'm just gonna call it what it is. It's the Witch Mercy event.
Now, let me guess. They're wearing cold weather gear rather than beach gear.
That's correct, because
Because the
North
Northern
America-
Hemisphere is the only
it's
place.
the center of the world. So we have a small bearded dwarf gets a Santa skin because, of course, the fastest character in the game receives a skin like an elf, which is fun.
I thought they'd get a reindeer skin.
No, actually, they got an elf, and the reindeer went to like
The robot?
a big, strong, fat dude, basically named Roadhog, who has a big hook. Normally, he's got a tattoo of a pig on his stomach,
Oh, but it's
and
a reindeer.
the
with
guy
glowing
loves
nose.
animals. Now it's a reindeer, and his belly button's a red nose,
Right.
which I think is very cute. Like it all works together beautifully. The Overwatch thing is really good. Yeah, I've been playing a lot more of that with friends too.
Nice. Yeah, multiplayer games are a lot more fun, I find, when it's with people. Well, actually, I don't play it with people I don't know, so how can I compare? But I do that because I've never had fun when it's not with people I know. So, yeah.
Something else that I've been playing with people has been Left 4 Dead 2. I've returned
Isn't
to
that a
playing
TV?
that.
Isn't Left 4 Dead a TV series?
No, I'm not sure what you're thinking of.
Okay, I'm thinking of Walking Dead or something. There's so many zombie things. I know one of them's a game and TV series. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah,
Left 4 Dead 2.
Left 4 Dead 2. I've been going back to that after not having played it for about 2 years. And a friend of mine and myself, we booted it up again.
So it's a co-op zombie shooter?
Co-op zombie shooter, like a lot of zombies.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't played that game in 2 years. And when we booted it up, we started up the first campaign. Just because, it's been a while since I've played, and they've never played this game before.
Mm-hmm.
And I still remembered every single detail and tactic I've ever used, even 2 years later, for that one campaign.
Were all the sounds, like, really, really familiar?
Everything was really familiar. Like, I even like stripped down a bunch of my mods so that I could get a feel for the game again. And it felt good to be back. Have you ever had an experience like that where you leave something for a few years and you come back to it and everything about it is just like you're intimately familiar with it and you're like, I'm home?
Replaying Mass Effect 1.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mass Effect 1's probably it's my favorite one in the series. A lot of people really enjoy Mass Effect 2 and 3, and I mean, I get it, but the first time I played through Mass Effect 2, I had the experience of getting about a third of the way through, and during this play, I had a thought cross my mind, and it was, oh, this is just like a boring shooter, actually. And
well, it is if you ignore everything.
Which I like. This was a few years ago, before I knew what was up. Remember that story I told you about the time I accidentally romanced Caden? It was around that time.
Okay.
So totally clueless, no idea what's going on. But I had this Mass Effect 2. I had this revelation of there's only a little bit of story, and there's a lot of really boring shooting that all feels literally the same. And then I stopped playing it from that point.
So have you gone back and played the whole trilogy?
Yeah, I've gone back and played the whole trilogy.
Okay. I still need to do that at some point because I've not played the Mass Effect 3 DLC.
I still think 2 is the most boring game. And so my order of preference goes from 1, 3, 2. And also the ending to Mass Effect 3 was good.
Yeah, I liked it too. I don't have a problem with it.
Controversial opinions.
I don't know what everyone was on about.
Yeah, I don't know what everybody was on about with Mass Effect 1, and everyone's like, oh, it's not actually that great, and it's like, yeah, it is actually.
Yeah, it is. And if you think it's not, go play something else, that's fine.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe, you know what I think may have actually caused that opinion to become the popular one? I think it's maybe because the console versions of it were not that great.
Of
Mass Effect 1. I think it's quite possible that because you have so much more flexibility in ME1 on PC with the actual tactical view and stuff like that. I don't know if any of that was on the console version.
It's been ages since I played it the first time. I think I actually got it on console first. It's just been a long time. I don't remember.
See, because I made a lot of use of that tactical stuff in Mass Effect 1, so I was bummed out when it wasn't in 2 and 3 as much. But I think that system really, really clicked with me, and it made it so that I could play that game a lot better. It also made me better at Dragon Age for later in my life. It's weird. The differences between console and PC versions for that style of game are just it's profanely weird to think about.
I mean, ideally there aren't any if it can be helped. I mean, if it's about it can run more smoothly with high graphics on PC, then sure.
I think with Dragon Age they actually totally shifted formats. It was more of an action RPG on the 360 and PS3 on the basis that they hadn't really figured out a solution for the tactical stuff, and when they actually did in Dragon Age Inquisition, it wasn't all that great.
I'd have preferred that, honestly. I never really got into the system of combat in Dragon Age with pausing all the time.
I really enjoyed that. I felt like it. I felt like the level of control that I had with that system really benefited my experience as a player.
Fair
So
enough.
I think that system really it really clicked with me with Mass Effect 1, and then it really clicked with me in Dragon Age Origins. Both those games are fantastic. You would be remiss to not play them.
Although having a non-silent protagonist was a real big thing in Mass Effect 1 that wasn't in Dragon Age Origins.
It also wasn't all that bad a thing, I don't think.
Not having them talk, you mean?
Yeah, only in
I did have a few moments of it being quite surreal where you're watching your character just stand there expressionless and silent and realize, oh, you're so empty inside.
Yeah, like I don't think that's such a big deal because I came.
It doesn't have to be, absolutely. I just happen to have these moments of realization.
Yeah, like I came from a different style of game basically into that. I came from like games where I primarily had a silent protagonist and I would choose a dialogue option.
There's nothing wrong with silent protagonists anyway. I mean, Chrono Trigger
No.
is one of my favorite games, and it's got a completely silent protagonist. Doesn't say a
Metroid
word.
is like critically acclaimed across the board. Silent protagonist, except in Other M, and nobody really talks about Other M.
I've never played a Metroid game, so
okay,
sorry, I don't.
it's fine.
I know
then I
that
won't
they're
talk
about
about it too
shooting
much. But I will
aliens, right?
say, yep, I will say that Other M is generally not liked. It gave Samus a voice. And it did a whole bunch of other like weird shit that fucked with Metroid's canon a little bit. But ultimately, I enjoyed that game, and I would like another game in its style.
But the big question is, would Metroid beat Halo in a fight?
Halo. Yeah, I think Metroid would be Halo. Actually, I think that would be what would happen.
Yes, Metroid has like a gun arm or something.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm a fake geek guy, can you tell?
Oh, thank goodness.
Anyway, this has been quite a long tangent.
This has been like a whole thing that we've
do
gone on
tangents.
so... Yeah, this is Tangents, the show.
No, this is spoilers and tangents.
Spoilers and tangents. And speaking of spoilers...
Halo dies.
Oh no, come on.
Go on.
Speaking of spoilers, another game I've been playing a little bit of. Dirt 3.
Isn't that a racing game?
It is a
How do you
racing game.
spoil a racing game? Oh.
Got you! I got you! Yeah.
Okay.
Dirt 3 is a
Sure.
good racing game. If you haven't played it, it's good. So that's all you really need to know.
I'm shaking my
I've
head.
been,
You
I've
can't
been
see
playing
it.
that this week. Nope, I can't because this is a strictly audio format, even for the two of us. So that's fun.
Oh!
Copy.
Oh!
Okay.
My flatmate found out the
sound
coolest
excited.
thing in Pokemon last night, which is if you turn around for a bunch, your character does a pirouette.
Oh, that's cute.
It's so cute. Yeah, sorry, I just thought that was important.
It is very important, actually. I can't...
I love little
What other
tiny little
games can
things
I-
like that in games.
Okay. I also have another thing for you as well.
Yeah.
That's fun. So, remember how much I like Hitman? If you don't, I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So Hitman today, a lot of stuff happening today on our recording day. Today received a free mission pack for the first level, which is called Holiday Hoarders.
Holiday.
In which
what?
Hoarders.
Oh, yep. Sorry.
In which your targets are the two bandits from Holiday Classic Home Alone.
Yeah.
Which is
yeah. I remember
is the
those.
single most amazing thing.
So you're trying to kill them?
Yep, you have to kill them.
Yikes! That's
Yikes.
turned up a bit.
Kevin McAllister, hey, he got old.
And shaved
And
his head.
he's taking his revenge. He's back. He's put out a contract.
Actually, I think there has actually been a video of like him grown up and like actually him, the same actor, did a bit, and I think he was like an Uber driver who's kind of haunted by his past and just talks to someone he's driving or something. I haven't seen it, but I've read a little bit about it a while ago.
Oh
So
shit!
you should
Yeah,
look
that is
that
a
up.
thing.
Have you seen
Actually,
it?
I remember it being like extant.
Mm.
I just remember that it existed. Oh man, that's weird. Anyway, have you ever thought about how weird video games are? They're pretty weird.
I mean, some of them are weird, some of them aren't. What's weird about them?
Like a lot.
Like,
Where do I even fucking begin? Let's start with like the most basic of weirdness. First person games are weird.
why? You play through
On the
life
basis-
first person.
You play through life first person, but then you are in first person looking at another first person camera.
Because
Which is
because
weird.
you just imagine yourself in that spot.
Look, they're just listen. Listen. They're just weird. Listen, just hear me out. They're weird.
I'm asking why they're weird though.
Because sometimes they cross over with the real world in bizarre and unexpected ways and cross over with like other media in bizarre and unexpected ways.
You got an example?
And like the Home Alone thing
okay.
or like Gary Busey appearing as a target that you have to kill in Hitman, voiced by Gary Busey, who he's an actor as well. Like he was just like in the game and you had to kill him, and he was voiced by himself. And like, yeah, that's profanely weird to me.
Although at least he doesn't die in real life when you kill him in the game.
We're getting too deep, I think. I think we may have gone a level too far. See what I did there? That's video game
little.
levels. Level.
Yeah, I got it. After you explained it, sorry.
Level up.
Some like just conventions in video game design are pretty weird though. Like you mentioned level, and yeah, it's kind of understood in game terminology, but it's only there, really, right?
Yeah. There's not really anything else that has that kind of terminology. Because like even in other like games,
I can understand the
like a
term
board
level
game or
used
something.
for like a map because it's like a level on a building,
mm-hmm.
even if it's not always like one story in a game. But like I can understand the analogy there. But yeah, in terms of like character level, actually, probably came first in tabletop games.
Yeah, I guess D&D would have that, I guess. But, like, I guess even still, we still have a lot that's being contained to games. Just as, like, a broad term.
I mean, first-person stuff is... I mean, that's kind of unique to games, right? I remember in the Doom movie, there was a section in first-person, and it was weird because it's like it felt like a game.
There was also, like, there was a movie that came out a while back. It was called Hardcore Henry, which was shot entirely in first person.
Oh, yeah. I know there have been some movies that have been done, like, with sort of handheld video that's close-ish, but not exactly first person.
The Hunger Games must have been shot in first person with how shaky it was.
I'm thinking of that sort of Godzilla movie whose name I've forgotten. May something? You know what I'm talking about?
Cloverfield Lane?
Cloverfield.
Or Cloverfield?
Yeah. I don't know why I thought May in that case.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was like a found footage film, I think.
Yeah, that sort of thing. But I don't know if any other... the Doom one is the only first-person section I think I've seen in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that's kind of unique to games. But I suppose the fact that you're generally in control, like in real life, ideally, lets you do that, whereas more passive media don't do that so much. Although, I mean, then there's books that can sometimes put you in... Oh, no, second-person books are pretty rare. They're more like Choose Your Own Adventure, where then you actually do get the control back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, like you mentioned. There's a lot of stuff there's just like a lot in video games as well that would never ever fly in any other piece of media. Like any other piece of media that did like half the shit that some video games do would just be torn to shreds.
Like what?
Let's look at Final Fantasy 15 for example. Actually, um, generally, people who were into Final Fantasy and were kind of in the video game world to begin with, really enjoyed that movie, Final Fantasy 15 Kingslave. Normal ass like video game critics who walked in and like were told, "Oh yeah, this is a movie that we're going to show you." Were not impressed. They're like, "Oh yeah, this makes no sense. None of this at all is explained. None of it at all is like good or well
I
written."
mean, there were a couple of things that weren't explained, but the whole idea is, hey, we've also made a video game that in its story will explain these things. But, I mean, like, it worked together. I understood the story. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think there's a lot of stuff with regards to writing and performance that video games do that just wouldn't be allowed to get away. You wouldn't be allowed to get away with some of the performances that you get in like Deus Ex Human Revolution or something like that. Like if you tried to put half the shit on a TV show or something, you would be laughed off the air.
Well, at least they've got the advantage of being live action.
Yeah.
You can't make a live action video game. Well, if you can, it'll be terrible.
Have you heard about Her Story?
No.
That's a live action video game.
How does it even work, though?
The story is told entirely through live action segments, and you can find like basically videos on this computer that you use in the game.
Okay, so it's a regular video game with live action cinematics. That's not the same as what I would consider a live action video game, where the whole thing is live action. It's just it can't be done, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I think that for my intents and purposes, that Her Story comes close enough.
Oh yeah,
primarily
it's as close. Like, it sounds like it's as close
shit
as you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. I think we've gone on for a little bit.
What we do.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, one more thing. I do actually have one more thing
that
I do want to touch on briefly. If you have a PlayStation 4 and you like free games, Let It Die
What?
is a very good free game that you can pick up.
I thought you were talking about Let the PlayStation 4 Die.
No. Let It Die is a video game by the studio that did Killer 7.
So when you say it's free...
I mean free.
Okay, so how can I get it without paying anyone any money?
It's free.
How do I get it?
You go to the PlayStation Store and download it.
Okay, so I don't need to be subscribed to another service to get it free.
No, you don't have to
Awesome.
be subscribed to PlayStation Plus. You don't have to do anything. It is just free.
Okay, hey Gizmo.
It is a game from the studio that did Deadly Premonition, Killer 7, No More Heroes. Grasshopper Manufacture is the name of the studio, and its head is Suda51, who is rather infamous for his games.
So what's the gist of this game?
It is similar to Dark Souls.
Okay. So third-person action RPG kind of thing?
Yeah, third-person action game. It is procedurally generated.
Ah.
So they've given, they've done a lot of cool stuff with it. And it's headed up by a skateboarding Grim Reaper.
Huh?
Named Uncle Death.
Right. Okay.
Yep. Hey, remember how I was saying video games are weird?
Yeah.
That's like a weird thing.
That is a weird thing.
It's a weird thing that they've done. But Uncle Death is very good, is the thing.
Okay.
It's a wild game. It's got a little bit of wonkiness and charm to it. It's worth playing because it's pretty good, if you ask me.
And free.
and
which
free.
is also good.
Yeah, it's like totally free too, which is awesome. So if you're even like kind of passingly interested in any of the stuff that I've said about Let It Die, including just like skateboarding Grim Reaper, go check out Let It Die. Hopefully it comes to other platforms as well.
So it's just PS4 at the moment?
Just PS4 at the moment.
Okay. Is that one of the games that you're looking forward to playing this week?
It is, actually.
Yeah?
Yep. Also this week, I'm looking forward to playing some more of Final Fantasy 15.
Fair enough.
Continuing on my Fire Emblem adventures. Sounds pretty good. And some Witcher 3, because my summer break is coming up. So it's time to bring in The Witcher, I think. It's going to be good. How about you, though? What are you going to be
Probably
playing?
more of what I've been playing. More Pokemon, more Final Fantasy 15. I don't have any others that I'm expecting to pick up soon, but I might decide to do something like replay Mass Effect over the break. I'm not sure yet. That would be quite an undertaking if I did decide to do that. But I've been looking for an opportunity for it for a while as well, so who knows? But yeah, definitely more Pokemon. Almost certainly more Final Fantasy 15. I'll probably be playing some more of that once my flatmate goes on holiday, because he's going away before Christmas and I'm going away after Christmas. And since it's the sort of game that I often prefer to play when I'm the only person in the room, just because if story stuff comes up, I can give it my full attention without worrying about interruptions and stuff. But yeah, so both those should be fun. I am really hoping that they fix the interaction and jump thing though, because it really bugs me. It's if you've played Portal 2, the opening sequence of that, there's a similar thing as a joke where it's like press space to do this thing, do that thing, do this thing, but it just makes you jump every time, and it honestly feels like that. Like you're supposed to press X to talk to this person, but nope, you just jumped. Press X to open this quest thing. Nope, you jumped. Press X to go to this area. Oh, you jumped. It's a problem. But like one they can fix. It's a fixable problem.
For sure. All right. I got a couple notes as well, just as some like housekeeping stuff. So Mark, this is your last episode here for 4 weeks.
Something like that.
Yeah. So from this point on, for the next month, PauseCast will not have Mark with us, unfortunately.
I'll be here in spirit.
Fortunately, though, we do have the opportunity to get some guests in as a result. So PauseCast is not going on a break for the Christmas holidays. We'll be continuing to post every week. There might be a bonus episode or two in there, actually, as well, if I'm willing to put the extra work in. But we might be able to get a bonus for you guys. We're looking at a few guests over the course of this next month. One, if you listen to last week's episode where we had Harley Quinn join us, Harley Quinn will be returning, and we will probably do an episode, perhaps a spoiler cast. So stay tuned to the feed if you are interested in that sort of thing. Also, potentially looking at a few other people. We haven't confirmed anybody at this point beyond Harley. So just stay tuned. We've got some surprises. We've got some cool stuff that I'm cooking up. So I'm excited for you guys to hear those episodes, and I hope you guys continue to listen.
You name dropped Dwayne The Rock Johnson earlier. Is he a contender?
Dwayne, if you're out there, my dude, I would very much like to have you on the PauseCast. It would be awesome. I'm kind of a big fan, and I'm also curious about what you think about the McElroys cloning you horribly to make the Pebble in Monster Factory, and I would have to ask you about that. That's it. All right. So yeah, that's what our next month looks like. We've got guests, and more guests. Mark will be returning to us on January the 19th. So, yeah, 4 episodes from now. Possibly 5 or 6 if we do bonus episodes. You never know. All right. So, Mark.
Yeah.
Before you go, I want to ask you one quick thing as well.
Red.
Huh?
No? Damn it. Thought I was psychic for a moment. Not asking for my favorite color. Go on.
No, sorry. Do you want to tell us where you can find the show on the internet? Actually, no. Don't do that yet. Where can we find you on the internet?
Me on the internet.
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter a bunch at Honest Universe, and I blog as well, although not about video games, at honestuniverse.com. What about you?
You can find me online at bird.school, or you can find me at cockatielcutie on Twitter. You can find the show on Twitter as well. We are at PauseCast Show on Twitter. Where can you find us on Facebook, Mark?
Remember, right? It's facebook.com/groups/PauseCast Show. Well, you could search for PauseCast as well, I'm sure.
Probably. It's just a it's a group that you have to request to join. This is just so we can keep bots out. You're welcome to join us. Come say hi. You can also email us if you would like. PausecastShow@gmail.com. We still have a couple of giveaways going on which have not been won. If you want to win yourself a copy of Moon Hunters, be the first person to send us a thing that you like about the moon. And if you want to win a copy of Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen, you can send me your favorite dragon. And tell me a little bit about your favorite dragon. First person to do that will receive a free copy of Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen on the PC. Also very exciting this week. I just remembered as well, since I got this from the same place I got Dragon's Dogma. Stardew Valley came out on PS4.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Are you going to get it on a second console then?
Probably, yeah. Just so everybody else in the house can play it.
Ah, good thinking.
That'd be great. That's going to do it for us this week, I think.
Sounds good.
Is there anything else you needed to say?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you very much for joining us, and we will talk to you. Well, I will talk to you next week. Mark, thank you for joining us for all of these episodes as well, and we look forward to having you back in a few weeks.
Yeah. Hope everyone has a good summer or winter if you live on the bottom of the world.
Enjoy your vacation.
Thank you.
And I will be back next week, possibly with Harley Quinn. Thank you very much for listening, and see ya. Bye.